But all right. But besides that, let's get this event. Inshallah. All right. So I just want to let you guys know that what communities are doing for civic justice and what's the goal for here for tonight, right? I want to let you guys know what the goal is here for tonight. The goal for tonight is to learn and support the Muslim Civic Coalition. And how do we do that? Is knowing what communities are and what they're doing for civic justice and what we can do to support in that regard, right? So today is about learning and supporting. So we'd love your support in that regard. And for the first speaker I'd like to bring up here tonight is Mr. Chuy Garcia. You know,
all of the people of the Muslim faith, I am delighted this morning to join each and every one of you, as I did last year, to celebrate the work of the Civic Coalition here in Illinois, representing the diverse Muslim community in the great state of Illinois. Delighted to join you this morning just to reiterate my unflinching support for the protection and the rights of people of the Islamic faith. You play an integral part in our state, in our cities and localities, including suburban communities. And of course, I am delighted that you are in the 4th Congressional District and that you began this morning's proceedings with an acknowledgement of the native inhabitants of this land. We respect that, we honor that, and I want you to know that in Washington, D.C., as we prepare for the beginning of a new administration and a new Congress, we will work, especially as the whip of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, to protect all vulnerable groups, minorities, people of different faiths and beliefs, and will continue to fight to protect the rights and liberties of all Americans, especially racial, ethnic, and religious minorities. Welcome to this conference. I salute you on the great work that you have done, and of course my congrats to all the award recipients for standing with my community. Thank you. Welcome to the 4th District.
If you just forget that you actually need a mic to do anything. You can just yell. Assalamu alaikum, blessings and peace to all of you. Hey Anthony, how are you doing today?
Welcome.
My name is Rima Kamran. I'm a proud co-founder and the board treasurer at the Muslim Civic Coalition. I want to welcome you to the Muslim Civic Coalition Brunch. This is our 6th annual brunch, and we're so excited that you're here. You've all heard the African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. We are in this room together so that we can fight and build civic power for our communities. So let's see who's in the room. I'm going to ask you to please hold your applause till we're done. And I'm going to ask, if you're an elected official, please stand so that we can honor your service. Stand so that we can honor and thank you personally for your help. We'd like to take this opportunity. We're going to do a charity paddle race. Not right now, I'm just going to prep you for it. But I'm going to ask you to practice with me. You all got a paddle. Can I see everyone's paddle? Don't worry, you're not committing to like that. I see you. What? Why does this side of the room not have paddles? Let me see your paddles. There you go. Okay, I see it. Okay, so throughout the afternoon, you're going to hear about our work. You're going to hear about calls to action. And then you are going to be asked to raise your paddle to pledge. Make your
themselves. It is refreshing to have a politician in the room with us who we know is committed to people at the very heart of both his heart and his policy. I'm very proud, Delara, to introduce Mayor Brandon Johnson.
something before the mayor gave his remarks. We all come to today through different backgrounds. Some of you are in business. Some of you are parents. Some of you are grandparents. Some of you live in the city. Some of you live in the suburbs. Some of you are lawyers, educators, etc. Mayor Johnson and I are both former 8th grade U.S. history and government teachers. And that's how we connected. And I want you to know this because I saw this in this year, in this nation. Nothing better than this year has taught us. The world needs more good people. And the world needs us to help those good people do even better work. And so thank you, Mayor, and God bless you, and we are behind you to help you do even better.
It's still morning, so good morning, everyone. Oh, y'all still talking, apparently, okay. Oh, wow, this is great. Mr. Simpkins, I was saying to one of my staff members that as Mr. Simpkins was speaking, I was walking up to the side of the stage, and I thought to myself how embarrassing it would be if you weren't talking about me. But thank you for all of that. That was very presumptive of me. I just assumed I was next. So, but then when we started to say all those nice things, I really wanted to be sure that it was me. So I'm grateful, Mr. Simpkins, for your kind words. And thank you all for inviting me to this annual brunch. What a just lovely sight it is to see all of you. It's a pleasure to celebrate the true spirit of who we are as a city, change makers and civic leaders. I'm grateful that there are elected leaders that are in here this morning, going into the afternoon. Of course, to Congressman Garcia for your leadership over the years of protecting progressive politics and ensuring that coalitions like this can exist. You know, this is a moment for us all to be thankful and to be reminded of our commitment to justice. I do want to acknowledge that I'm joined today by Chicago Department of Human Relations Commissioner Nancy Andrade. Could you all please give our commissioner who really thrives in the city of Chicago. I also want to acknowledge this year's honorees, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and Senator Karina Villa is here from the wonderful suburbs. Really humbled to accept this incredible Courage Award. I appreciate all of you that are here today. And today, of course, our challenges are great, but our commitment to our beliefs of serving the people of Chicago are still firm. You know, committing myself to a lifetime of public service is something that I was raised to do. The best job in the world, of course, serving as a public school teacher and enjoying this moment as mayor. I'm thankful that being mayor, though, is not a solo endeavor. You know, we can only navigate the challenges that our city is experiencing, and we can only create progress in our city if we work in partnership. And that's what this moment is about. That's what this coalition is stood for. Advocacy groups and civic coalitions like yours, working in partnership with you all. This is how we build a better, stronger, and much safer Chicago. Our communities are incredible. Our diversity is our true greatest strength. I'm grateful that I'm honored to have, you know, someone that I get to work with every single day who is a member of this incredible community, the Muslim community, Noreen Hashim Jawadi. Could you all please give her a round of applause? She's the first deputy in policy, and she leads with a real focus on equity and inclusivity and really importantly justice. You know, our connection is going to be more important in the years to come. As we brace ourselves for this incoming federal administration, we have to remain firm and strong in our values. We know that there are many inequities that continue to hold too many of our communities behind, and we know that there are forces that are trying to convince us that we are stronger if we're segregated and we are divided. Our work ahead must continue to work to advocate for true unity. Our value system is tethered to that. You know, the voices that you all bring to call for peace across the globe is important. I do want to take the time, though, to honor the life of our dear fallen son who was taken from us, Wadea Al-Fayoume, and to his mother, Hanan Shahid. I'm grateful for the remarkable courage, but it also is a terrible reminder of how much work that we still has to be done. I will say this in closing. I promise that my administration will continue to stand and partner with each and every one of you in this room. And whether we are calling for an end to anti-Black policies or we're calling for a ceasefire, we get to do both. And we do not have to be afraid or cower under pressure because others are afraid of what liberation looks like for all of us.
Today we want to talk about Wadea. But to talk about Wadea, we want to honor his mother, who sits with us in the audience. Hanan, if you can please stand up. We want to recognize you. We say to our dear mother Hanan, we are sorry for your loss. Thank you for allowing us to use Wadea's name to honor and cherish his memory. Hanan, your strength and your resilience inspired all of us, an entire community and an entire nation. This year, the Wadea resolution passed unanimously in the Senate, and it's a testament to your courage and our collective commitment to ensure Wadea's name and memory becomes a beacon for justice. So thank you. This year was a milestone moment in passing this federal legislation, and we want to honor the vision of this work, where grief was taken into action and when we mobilized. Advocacy, it's not just a role, it's not a title, it's a way of life, especially for those involved. And advocacy becomes a family affair. And so with that, we want to take a moment to recognize Mariam Muzaffar. We invite you up to the stage. And her family. Sorry.
I want to thank you for recognizing the possibility of who we are as a community. I want to thank you for the possibility of understanding that it's not false narratives that will dictate who you are. I wish I could say that this is a moment of celebration on the passing of the legislation in the Senate. But of course we recognize it's a tragic, tragic road of why we got here. And so I wish that we could exhale at this moment. But I think the fact that the resolution moved and the fact that it was unanimous signifies to us that this nation has it within us to be able to recognize freedom, equity, and the fact that all lives are equal. Once we reaffirm that at the highest levels of office, we send a message across the nation to our children that this is their turf. Every turf is their turf. I want to take a moment here and thank you, Amina, for your words. I've been with the coalition for 4 years. We passed 7 legislations that people thought could never happen. But it was because of the community. So I want to thank the community for trusting the vision, for trusting your power, and understanding that elected officials also need to be inspired to a new way of being and encouraging a new way of relating to each other. I also want to thank my family, because as Amina said, advocacy is a full-time job. But the reason why we do what we do and we create visions for people so they can actually become believers in this, and so that children, our children, can understand that they are limitless. So to my children, Aksa, Yaqub, and Isa, understand that this nation is your nation. Understand that you're proud Muslim Americans, that you are created by God for a purpose. And if you dedicate yourself and help everyone along the way, your purpose will become very clear. I want to thank my husband, of course, going from call to call and helping my children, but most of all, I want to thank every child who decides to be inspired and every parent who gives a pat on the back and never lets them give up on who they are. Thank you.
And so while Senator Dick Durbin could not join us today, he's in Springfield. We're honored to have her. She's a community member and a partner in the critical work. Congresswoman Delia Ramirez sent a video that we will show after Salah, inshallah. She's committed to confirming this work, bi'iznihi ta'ala, in the House. And we have a lot of work in this year ahead. This year, we've proved, the coalition has proved what relentless advocacy can achieve at the local and at the national level through the work and collective effort of all of you, our Muslim community and our allies, and of course, with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'd like to point you at your table to take a look at the impact document. From voter mobilization, others that have worked at the coalition, and others that you have built in the Muslim community to continue this work. As shared before, the political landscape that we have has shifted, but we also must continue to be strategic. And so our work continues at the federal and at the national level. We're preparing to introduce new federal policies, working alongside offices like Senator Dick Durbin's, and we're doubling down as our role as vanguards to work in advocacy, and we need to be able to meet the challenges ahead. And so at the state level, we want to be able to share the bills with you that we want to be able to work on in 2025, what our legislative agenda looks like. We want to finally pass Faith by Plate with provisions. Yes, this is a good thing. It's a solution, bi'iznihi ta'ala, that we have been told and promised will actually be put out for a vote in January. And we want you to be there in Springfield with us, inshallah, when it gets passed and voted on by our governor. And it offers meals, halal and kosher meals in schools and hospitals and prison systems here in Illinois. And at the state level, we want to be able to pass the Wadea resolution. We want to be able to pass the Wadea resolution here in the state where Wadea was from, and here in the state where Hanan continues to live. We'll be introducing a new legislation at the state level, an inclusive 2-day holiday in the state of Illinois that will include Eid, among other holidays, that will give 2 floating days for faith holidays and not count towards a student's truancy record. And it should ensure, I come to this work, since we're telling our stories, I come to this work as someone who's done youth work. And our young people are what ground us. And if we want to be able to raise a generation of Muslims for years to come, and we want to be able to make sure that they feel comfortable, it is oftentimes these small wins. No student should need to decide between going to school, having an exam, and being able to practice their faith. And this new legislation, inshallah, will be able to do that. We want to be able to expand the Muhammad Ali Bill and the Muhammad Ali Day in more states to ensure that the message of justice and resilience reaches communities nationwide. And this year, we begin in that training at the Mass ICNA in a few weeks. And so if you know of someone in a different state that wants to pass this bill and this law within their state legislator, please have them attend and come reach out to us, inshallah. And we're so lucky and honored that here with us today, all the way from the UK, is also Jacob Ali-Wertheimer, the grandson of the boxing legend Muhammad Ali, an African-American, unapologetic Muslim who is loved by everyone. Jacob graduated with honors from Harvard with a joint degree in African.
Clear that I do not take this opportunity to speak with all of you for granted. When it comes to the turmoil and the unrest that exists both within this country and around this planet, I want to acknowledge how fortunate that we all are to be sitting in this room together, to be able to share and speak freely with one another, to be able to educate ourselves on not only the issues we face, but how we can fix them, and the luxury of working towards making such change. That's why I think it's so fitting that I'm here today on behalf of the Muhammad Ali bill, honoring my grandfather's legacy someday nationwide, and currently as many as 12 other states that we have interested in passing this bill. A bill that not just only honors my grandfather's legacy, but fundamentally understands what he cherished most, education. I was a Division I athlete at my time at Harvard, training daily with future Olympic gold medalists. But when my grandfather called me and would ask me how I'm doing, the first thing he would speak about was not sports. It was about my education. Education, the ability to empower others, the ability to empower oneself and one's own community. Education is the defining aspect of our species as human beings, and is more important than ever that we protect and fight for our right to educate. As a nation constantly tries to strip away at our ability and right to do so. The Muhammad Ali bill stands for so much more than just honoring my grandfather as a fighter. It stands for understanding the struggle for equality in this nation, no matter your race, creed, or color, to improve and to grow into something better. And in a nation that is so vehemently anti-black and anti-Muslim, it is something that we need now more than ever. At the beginning of my speech, I mentioned the luxury we have in working towards change. I want to emphasize that word luxury. While we may all have struggles within our community, those of us who have the opportunity to sit here today are the lucky ones. We are the ones with the opportunity to stand up and speak truth to power, to have a voice for the voiceless, whether it's our brothers and sisters in Palestine or in this very city. My grandfather was a man of the people. When he called himself beautiful, or when he called himself the greatest, he wasn't just saying it for himself, he was saying it for all of you. To remind all of you of your beauty and your greatness in a nation that tried to constantly strip that from you and take that from you. So when my grandfather said that duty to others is the rent you pay for your time here on earth, I implore that upon all of you to take that up as your own personal fight and to follow through on that as well, just like he would have. Thank you.
But I think the trick is to not be apathetic, not be discouraged, and to actually continuously step into the role. Ohio is the way it is, not because anyone chose to, but it's a heavily gerrymandered state. And so the continuity of the advocacy, I know and I continue to see on the internal, in the back end, how it's transforming. And so that's how advocacy works. We can only do it when we're doing it together, and we can only do it when we do it consistently. And it's really about preparing for what's to come ahead. Very few organizations are doing advocacy work. And very few organizations that are doing advocacy work do it the way the Muslim Civic Coalition does. It's proactive, it's strategic, and it's thoughtful. And so to be the vanguards on the front lines, to shape policy, to protect communities, ensure that no voice goes unheard, we need to be agile, relentless, and forward-thinking. And so with that, we have an agile team, and I want to be able to take a moment for those that are on the policy and advocacy team to stand up, to show those that are in the room who they are. So Maria, if you can stand up. Mohammed, you are myself. But we also talk about for anyone who was in trouble or a Marina Villa.
here with you all today receiving the Profile in Civic Courage Award, and to share the stage in this award with giants like Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and our very own Mayor Brandon Johnson. It's an honor that I will never forget. As I reflected on the meaning of this award, named after John F. Kennedy's speech titled Profiles in Courage, I wanted to share with you where I gather courage from in these tumultuous times. There's so much that's happened in the last year. So, I think of these times, and I reflect on when I was a school social worker. I did that for 15 years prior to running for office. There were so many stories of perseverance and strength that my students, my young students taught me. Those stories have stayed in my heart. Students who slept in cars and they showed up the next morning after being homeless with the homework in their hand, so excited and ready to learn. Stories of mothers who shared with me that they had absolutely no idea how they would be telling their children that someone in the family had died, someone in their family had lost their life to violence. Stories of children on the playground that I would watch and see as they went and they defended their fellow students when they were getting bullied. These are the stories that are etched in my heart every day. And when I am feeling as though I might want to give up, I think about those faces and those stories, and they keep me going. These stories are all around us. Every single day, people are using their voices of courage to defend each other and to defend others and to stand up for what is right. I want to remind us all that when it is time to pass legislation, the first question we all should be asking ourselves is, how is this going to impact the children? Is this legislation going to help the most vulnerable people in our society? Is this policy, is it worth it? Is it worth standing up and using our voices, even though sometimes our voices might tremble? If the answer is yes, we all need to stand united, stand tall, and advocate for these policy changes. I want us to all be centered. I want to thank you all for your courage. I want all of us to be centered and remember in those difficult times, I want to think of Wadea's face. I want to think about his courage. And when we feel as though we are in despair, we cannot despair. We need to stand up, we need to keep going, and we need to fight for the future of our children and for the peace in this world. Thank you so much.
Unity and humanity. Illinois is celebrating Muhammad Ali Day. Muhammad Ali Day. Muhammad Ali Day.
My grandfather came to the city of Chicago after he lost his right to fight, after he was stripped of his titles, and as a result really centered his life on social activism. I shook up the world! I think this holiday really does a great job of commemorating my grandfather's legacy.
We thought Muhammad Ali is someone that's loved by all and was a proud African-American Muslim. And so to create a legislation coming out of the Illinois Muslim Civic Coalition, it was very, very fitting. And then throughout the state, educators have been given toolkits to teach students and have conversations within communities and families.
A global symbol of courage and compassion, Muhammad Ali is now part of the U.S. laws and resolutions.
Advocacy is where we're able to use.
Lara Saeed, I'm honored to lead the team at the Muslim Civic Coalition. And I'm humbled to have worked with about 80 co-founders of this organization. People say, oh yeah, Rima and Delara are the co-founders. There were about 80 co-founders. We would meet regularly. And I remember talking through what are the gaps of our community. And this is where we found that civic justice was the edge. Building civic power was our edge. That was 6-7 years ago. Nothing showed us that was more important than what we went through this year. And so when we started the Civic Coalition a few short years ago, we learned 3 big things in these last 6 years. 1, our community is ready to build civic power. Are we? Yes. Our community is ready to build civic power. Number 2, our greater American neighbors are ready to see us and stand with us. Are they? Yes. Our greater neighbors are ready to see us and stand with us. And number 3, we have so much to do. We have so much to do. So who will do this? In this audience are Trump voters, Harris voters, Stein and West voters, and protest voters. As long as you voted and you felt comfortable with the values with which you voted, we welcome you all. As long as you are a part of a community and you will have each other's backs, we welcome you all. Our values matter, and our compassion has to be how we act. To get us out of division and destructive behavior that we experienced across this nation and across the globe, we will need strategic, nimble, and relentless organizations in advocacy, in business, in healthcare, and in every field. And we will need Mark the mechanic and Yusuf MacGyver. Let me tell you who they are before I share the President's report of the State of the Coalition. Wears Valley, Tennessee is a tiny rural town that our family was traveling in to just get away after a divisive, difficult year. We went to the Smoky Mountains last week. It's been a really tough year for all of you, for all of us, and honestly, I just wanted to be with my children, my 2 tiny grandbabies, and my husband. No one else. So we're on our drive there, 10 hours southeast of where we are standing right here. It was pretty cool. Winding and uphill a lot of the way. How many of you have been to the Smoky Mountains? Right? But just as we got to the cabin at the top of the mountain, the hood started leaking out smoke. The last minute, 10 minutes, we noticed the hood was overheating and obviously there was a problem. And the next day, we would have to just sit it out, not doing all the fun things that we had planned. Yusuf, my life partner, called the dealer for our 7-passenger foreign-made wagon. It was an hour and a half away, through the mountains. It wasn't gonna make it. The car would not have made it. We called the nearest town mechanic. Again, an hour away, we weren't gonna make it. And then Yusuf Googled and we found Mark at a tiny auto repair and care shop about 10 minutes away. We could coast down the mountain. The Google Maps photo looked unimpressive. But Mark answered our phone call on a holiday week, and he said in a heavy Southern accent, "Come on in and I'll fix it." We coasted our van down the hill, pulled into the mechanic shop. Nothing changed, including the waiting room chairs for about 50 years in that mechanic shop. Mark, the mechanic, dropped everything he was doing, and he came to help us. He pulls our van into this pit, I've never seen. Now they get raised, but he pulled it into the pit. Yep, I see it, I'll fix it. And for the next 2 hours, my husband Yusuf, the MacGyver in our family, who loves to take apart things and fix things, and Mark, the mechanic, are side by side, working on the guts in the inside of our car. I walked around his car store and clearly saw his deeply Southern family, the signs of his Christian faith, and the decades of dusty car books, knives, hunting gear, and paraphernalia that Mark had collected. Clearly, his life and our life had almost nothing in common. But for those 2 hours, Mark didn't think about our skin color, or our city accents, or of my hijab. We didn't think about his skin color, his fundamental faith, which was clearly on the walls of his shop, or his political ideology. We focused on what we needed to do together, get our family back on track, and do our jobs. Mark asked me as I was leaving, Delora, can you leave a Google review? I did. It is as much about us caring neighbors, Americans to Americans, as it is about his being an amazing mechanic. Who are the Marks in your life? Who are the neighbors that you know will build a better America with you? Because to make this world better, to see each other as truly human and worthy of each other, it will not be elected officials or powerful corporations. It will be you and me and our neighbors. It will be Mark the mechanic and Yusuf MacGyver. Dude, stand up. Yusuf, where's my Yusuf? Yusuf. I'm a strategic thinker. Everything I owe to Yusuf and my parents, who are also in the audience right here. To make this a better world, it will not be elected officials and powerful corporations. Say it again with me. To make this a better world, it will not be elected officials and powerful corporations. It will be you. It will be me. It will be our neighbors. And it will be small, nimble, and relentless organizations that we support that can move the needle. It will take everyday people, and it will take organizations like ours. And today I am asking for your help. How is an organization assessed? So I'm giving you the report of the State of the Coalition. First, we're assessed by impact. You should be careful. You should be vigilant, and you should understand the impact an organization makes. Who do they reach out to? How do they work? What do they get done? We don't have time to waste. We need to work on these organizations. Second, who do we work with? Allies. In the audience today are my Jewish brothers and sisters, our Christian brothers and sisters, our brothers and sisters of the Hindu faith, of the Sikh faith, and of every faith. In this audience today are allies we have worked with. We call allies those of other faith or secular that work with us. And we call partners Muslim-led organizations and families that work with us. And we have over 150 in total. How does an organization do this work? With its team. So who works with us? Our team speaks over a dozen languages. We come from every age group, every class, and every race. We look like the communities we are serving. For a minute, look around this room and the diversity of this room. Our team and board look like our community, and we go to every piece of this community. The last piece is revenue growth. You want to make sure an organization you're supporting is being supported. About $200,000 of our revenue every year or more come from institutional grants. These grants help cover our basic operations. The rest is our programs. And I want you to see the sustainable growth of our programs and our revenue, but I want you to see the dips. The dips are really important. In 2022 and 2023, we didn't make our goal. The reason we didn't is because we literally had an organization that could not fund us for $60,000 and said to us, I'm sorry, you meet all our criteria, but we had board members that were uncomfortable funding a Muslim organization. It is the reality. And you know what we responded? Thank you for being honest with us. We'll be applying next year. And you will eventually fund us. Look at 2024. You know who made that up? All of you. We got on the phones and we let our donors know that we lost a lot of money the last 2 years. We couldn't do this work without it. And so much came in, alhamdulillah, to help us get started on 2024. That's how the Wadea bill got passed. Federal laws take a lot more than state law. And we got that passed. But look at the question mark in 2025. We don't know what the future will bring. We know 2025 means organizations like us, like ours, are already a target. We know that organizations like ours probably won't get even some of the funding we're hoping to get. And we need you to join us now. We have proven our worth, and now we need greater support from our community. And we know the future's unknown, so we're doing one more thing. This year, we started an endowment. May I have the slide up for the endowment, please? We started an endowment of $50,000 this summer with Saturna. Thank you, Saturna, for walking us through it. Today, that endowment has already grown in 1 month 4%. It's a good year to put in money and an endowment. I encourage that for every group. Anybody who puts in $10,000 or more today will also have a choice to put it straight into our endowment. Because we know the future is unknown. We know 2025 and the years ahead will be hard. And I want to bring in my dear friend, a brother I have known since we were little kids, Habib Qadri, to help you understand why we do this work, why he and our sister Aisha support us, and why we need you. And Habib and I, we first met, I was going to Harvard for my doctorate. Habib was facilitating a course at Harvard. And we had met since we were 5 years old through MCC, alhamdulillah, one of the greatest mosques in the nation, the Muslim Community Center that raised us all. But then we reignited our passion to serve as adults. So Habib, thank you for everything you've done. Please thank Habib.
All right? Maybe extra 3 minutes overtime. Take sports kind of analogies. So first and foremost, I want to thank Dilara and her whole team. Because the idea is that I know Dilara since we lived in the same building. Clarendon building, Dilara, Dilnas, uncle, auntie, my parents, and so they were older. So she was a little older than me. She's 33 now, I'm 30. Right? Just keep that in mind. I know I look older, that's fact. So, I need to start using other products. All right. So, number two, yes, he is from the MCC, as that is, so that's why we're Sunday school. Number three, how I was like I have to do this because I have to get to another program. I'm like, no, I'm going to do this. Is that she's in education, and I didn't realize because I was speaking to Mary Johnson
today. Unfortunately, I've had other commitments in the district and have to be with the communities and the families I represent here in the Michigan 12th Congressional District. But I wanted to thank you all for this honor and also congratulate all of the other honorees. I want you all to know I'm incredibly proud of the Muslim Civic Coalition. I'm proud of your advocacy. I'm proud that you gave a voice to so many of us mothers and advocates across the country who saw what happened to Wadea, and we could not breathe in knowing that we're not going to be able to actually have real policy action. And all of you, again, organized and make sure that we had a next step of how we make sure that it doesn't happen again, how we make sure that we are safer in our communities. So again, thank you all so much. Assalamu alaikum, and again, truly an honor to be able to be getting this award. And again, congratulations on your award.
Our community, and we all need to be there to uphold each other, either financially, physically, or through our words of support. I think something Dilara said today really stuck with me, saying we don't have time to waste. The work we're doing has an impact on each of us and our children. For example, the work that the coalition did on the Faith by Plate Act ability to perform well in school, to take part in sports, and it promises a life of underdevelopment and underperformance. So Ivanka is going to continue to support institution building, and the coalition is one of the institutions we really seek to build out. Take a seat wherever you are. This is a dua you will not want to miss. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. So Bismillah, wherever you are, please sit. We will make dua together. Wherever you are, please sit. We will make dua together. We're ending with those from communities that started it all for us. On this stage are 4 banners. None of them are there by accident. Two banners share the Muslim Civic Coalition mission and honor our allies, partners, and community. The banner to your right is the American Muslim story. It is 400 years old. But almost 200 of those years gives credit to the African American Muslim story. I will wait, please be quiet. The African American Muslim story is the shoulders that we stand on. Everything that we've done is credited to a community that laid the foundation for all of us, Indigenous Americans and African Americans. I wanted the closing dua. I asked my auntie Zubaydah, who if I don't come to the masjid once every month or so, she'll be like, Dilara, are you okay? And she'll text me. And I'll say, I'm coming, Auntie Zubaydah, I promise. Auntie Zubaydah never shared with me the story until Imam Yusuf came home. Imam Yusuf was incarcerated for 52 years. 54 years. 54 years. And during that time, she tells me, it was okay because I built our family with my husband. And if you ask how, she says, we would talk together. I would visit. We would get counsel from each other. And then I would go home and I would raise our children. 52 years, the Madyuns raised a beautiful family. Their son, Imam Abdullah Madyun, is one of our favorite imams of the nation. And I'm asking, they know us better than anybody else knows us. They know our community better than anyone else knows our community. What is their counsel? What are their guidance? And what is their dua for us?
Welcome, community. It's always good to be in the presence of the community around the world, because the world is our community, because we're everywhere on earth. So I want to make a short dua, and I guess my husband, he'll make one too. We want to thank Allah for us. We want to thank Allah for our children. We want to thank Allah for acknowledging us as believers. And it's just a great blessing to be a member of the Islamic community. We want to thank Allah for our children, our health, and our continuous I'm losing words.
Amin.
I mean, we want to thank Allah for the scholars, the hospital workers, those that teach our children, because a lot of the children, as you know, are not being taught. They're doing their own thing. We want to thank Allah for being a part of this community. It is really a blessing in the 21st century. And we have to say these things every day, because this is what survives his marriage and my marriage. How many people do you know that have stuck with someone for 54 years, just period? Not because they was incarcerated, but just period. So there's a lot of blessings in that. And we thank you all for your support. All of the communities, I'm familiar with them, because during that time we were 23. We're up in the 80s now, we're still together. And all of the communities in here, more than likely, I have visited them. Or my son, Imam Abdullah, Madyun, from the Islamic Institute of Urban Affairs, Masjid, El-Istan on 39th Street. And I'm sure a lot of you all have been there. So we thank Allah for bringing this son up during these horrible times. He listened to us, and that's another thing. Pray Allah that your children listen to you, because they're not listening nowadays. We listened when we were coming up. We had no way out. Yeah, we had no way out. And we have to thank Allah for our next door neighbor, thank Allah for our friends, thank Allah for bringing us back home every day when we leave the house. Thank our scholars, thank the school teachers, they're doing their job. We have to pray and ask Allah to continue to give us good health. I mean.
She said, I'm a good man, but she's a better woman. Believe me, as it said, I was 54 years is a long time. And this woman here, praise be to Allah, she stuck with me that whole bit. And she didn't miss a beat. And I would always like to thank her in front of crowds like this to let you know what our deed will do, enables us to do if we believe in Allah and let Him do His work. Let Allah run the world, you and your life.